And I have $1,200,000 with $2 million, the standing bidder. I don't see it. $3 million here now. $3 million. $4 million on the $5 million. Sold.
At the end of the semester, the collectors with the most points had the opportunity to present their final collections to the class, emphasizing their collection highlights and collecting strategies. Here is the speech of Reshma Kalimi, the young woman who was voted master collector by her peers at the end of the semester.
I love my collection, all 9 pieces. I think that they represent really great diversity in art, from style to media to country of origin to date created and theme. And nevertheless, I think that all of these images represent some type of iconic emotion and also speak to me personally, evoking some type of memory from my own life. So, for example, David reminds me of the semester that I spent in Florence. And then Vincent van Gogh's Irises is actually a print that's hung in my bedroom since freshman year because I got it at the Met on a visit with my best friend before she left to go study in London. And I think that these works have 2 very strong themes. The first is that of female portraiture, which is exemplified by the Catherine de Medici, the Marilyn Monroe, and then the Greta Garbo. And the second theme is that of political and social sentiment, which is found in Picasso, Goya, Rubens, and Johns. I actually really love all of these works, and I think that I could see them every day and definitely could live with them being in my home. Because I think through their very, beautiful and varied depictions, they individually and collectively really remind us of the diversity of human existence.
Reshma's speech evidences the potential that fantasy collecting has to bring students into an enthusiastic interaction with a body of art. She used her collection to gather works that had personal meaning for her, and found that 2 themes, political symbolism and female portraiture, ran throughout her collection. Reshma was also someone who had an interest in art, but her pursuit of specific works in the game gave her a deeper connection to a diverse group of work that ran the gamut from Rubens to Steichen. Reshma was one of the roughly 1/3 of the students that played with consistent enthusiasm in and outside of class throughout the semester. Another 1/3 of the class played with intermittent enthusiasm, which I would guess was mediated by fluctuating demands posed by other coursework, while the remaining 1/3 was not particularly interested and did not play the game outside of the 15 minutes of class time that we allotted for it each week. All told, I was very happy with this outcome, especially given how clunky the paper-based version of the game was. I was blown away by the aptitude that this group of students demonstrated in describing their artworks. By the end of the game, nearly 70% of the works carried descriptions, with the average word count running at just over 80 words, but many running for more than 200. I was impressed by their descriptions because not only did few of these students have a background in art, they were also negotiating many conceptual pieces that required real intellectual engagement. For instance, here's Team BHC on one of Nayland Blake's Untitled works, with a few refining line edits from me. Nayland Blake often represents themes of interracial desire and same-sex love through his mixed media pieces. This piece is Blake's response to art that is critical of the commodity culture we live in today. All of his art focuses on unique items, for he believes art should be really about the things in our daily lives, such as paperback books. He got the idea and the books while in a thrift shop. This piece is created from paperback books that are grouped in a plexiglass container and hung on the wall. In reference to the colorful book spines, Blake once joked, quote, "I finally made some stripe paintings." Although I was impressed by the quality and quantity of descriptions submitted, the rate of completion for tombstones was even higher at 91%. While I had assumed that a group of econ students would be stimulated by the market aspects of the game, the deal-making and the blood-pumping auction sequences, I had not anticipated that they would take almost every opportunity available to them to identify the artworks that they had in their collections. The combination of incentivizing tombstone research with 10 FCGs a pop and the competitive market dynamics that made them want to have those FCGs to spend succeeded in generating the desired outcome: to get students looking at art, identifying it, and in many cases even providing a layer of critical analysis through description. These results encourage us to develop more opportunities for microscholarship that are rewarded with FCGs in the game. For instance, in a later version of the game, we hope to develop a key concepts challenge that will allow players to use a glossary to identify which important art historical concepts their works illustrate, styles and techniques such as the International Gothic style, abstraction, chiaroscuro, etc. We will also incorporate more rewards for proactive gameplay through trophies, such as the Tastemaker Trophy, for the player whose collection receives the most visits in a single week, and the Conspicuous Consumption Trophy, for an auction's highest bidder. But the experience of the Econ 343 round has confirmed that even in this preliminary alpha stage, fantasy collecting has the capacity to bring its players into new and unexpected relationships with art. The memory of these undergraduates spread out across the gallery, looking at art that none of them had ever seen before, discussing and plotting their schemes for how to play with it, will motivate our process as we move forward with fantasy collecting, enhancing the game's user experience and pedagogical potential.